A movie titled War Driver, released in 2026, tells the story of a hacker who is capable of breaching Wi-Fi networks to steal money from other people's bank accounts. Suddenly, he gets trapped in a serious problem that puts his own life on the line. The story focuses on a young man named Call, who is pretending to buy snacks at a convenience store. However, his real goal is to take a picture of the ATM machine inside. Call is a hacker commonly dubbed a war driver, a term for criminals who love to steal other people's digital data and money. Not limited to ATM machines, Call can also steal money relying solely on a Wi-Fi network. For instance, right now, Call usually drives around town looking for luxurious places with weak internet security. Once found, Call only needs to infiltrate the establishment's Wi-Fi network, and his current target happens to be a high-end restaurant. Armed with a laptop, Call opens a specialized hacking software to launch a phishing email targeting the restaurant manager, tricking him into clicking a sent link. After that, Call completely drains the bank account, which in reality holds the payroll funds for the employees. This is exactly why Call operates at the end of the month, right a day before the manager distributes the employees' wages. While Call is operating, a restaurant employee is seen leaving work. Call's heart races out of fear of getting caught, especially seeing the man's suspicious look because Call is parked close to the restaurant. However, the man does nothing and walks right past Colonel. The next afternoon following his successful operation, Call is awoken by someone knocking on his door. It turns out to be Oscar, the restaurant doorman whom Call saw the previous night. Due to Call's actions last night, Oscar and all the restaurant staff face delayed paychecks because the manager claims they were cleaned out by a robbery. Suspecting Call because of his parked car near the restaurant, Oscar checked the CCTV footage and managed to get his license plate number. From there, Oscar only had to track down the car owner, and here he is now.
Let's go for a ride.
To avoid any misunderstanding, Oscar explains that his purpose isn't to hold Call accountable for the delayed restaurant paychecks, but to ask how Call pulled off the theft.
Most companies run payroll so their accounts are the fullest. You drive around, you look for a retail shop or nicer restaurant with a certain kind of web code.
After Call explains everything in detail, Oscar opens up about his true motive, offering a partnership. There is a rich girl, a restaurant guest who frequently visits every Friday night with her father. Oscar accidentally overheard her mentioning her bank account balance of $800,000, around 12 billion rupiah. Oscar happens to be facing a financial crisis. His electricity tokens are unpaid. There are only a few grains of rice left at home. His underwear hasn't been changed in a month, and he's struggling to top up diamonds to buy an Itachi skin. To make matters worse, his paycheck is now delayed. In short, Oscar demands Call steal the girl's money. If not, Oscar warns he will return and won't hesitate to take Call out. Once Oscar leaves, Call vents to an online friend who is a fellow hacker. Since his friend is more experienced and has wider access, Call asks him to track down a man named Oscar. The findings show that Oscar is not someone to be trifled with. He isn't just an ordinary restaurant doorman, but an ex-con who served 2 years in prison and has a background as a formidable boxer. Ignoring his threat would literally mean death. Not wanting to mess with a dangerous man like Oscar, Call immediately carries out the plan on Friday night, right when the girl and her father show up at the restaurant. After waiting an hour for them to finish dining, Call hits the gas and tails the girl back to her residence. As the girl and her father head inside, Call cracks open his laptop to break into the home's Wi-Fi network. Because the signal is weak, Call is forced to step out of his car and get as close to the house as possible. Suddenly, the father unexpectedly steps back out, nearly catching Call off guard, before getting into a car and driving off. After successfully draining the girl's account and transferring it to Oscar's, Call rushes to meet Oscar to report the job's completion and demand Oscar leave his life alone. However, as a token of appreciation, Oscar forces Call to tag along to a nightclub to have some fun. While heavily intoxicated, Call hallucinates seeing the girl approaching him, asking him to dance. And whether it was a dream or reality, Call leaves feeling uneasy, unable to shake off her attractive face from his mind. Driven by curiosity, Call begins tracking her life, uncovering her full name, residential address, health insurance details, and even boldly breaching her personal laptop. It turns out the girl's name is Sarah, and the man frequently with her isn't her father but a married man named Mark, a sugar daddy, who keeps Sarah as his mistress. In one of the emails Sarah sent to Mark, she panics over the fact that the $800,000 Mark entrusted to her bank account has suddenly vanished, begging Mark to come see her immediately. On the night Sarah and Mark meet, a curious Call hacks Sarah's laptop webcam to spy on their meeting. Mark is seen in a massive rage because that $800,000 didn't belong to him, but was money entrusted by his business clients. Sarah pleads ignorance about where the money went, but Mark accuses her of betrayal and stealing it all. No matter who Mark is or what he does, he threatens to kill Sarah if the money isn't returned within a week.
I didn't take it! I didn't take your...
Feeling responsible for someone's life, Call confronts Oscar to explain the situation, essentially asking him to return the money to Sarah. However, since Oscar isn't the type to care about others, he flatly rejects the request.
He hit her.
Left empty-handed, Call returns home to dig into Mark's background, discovering he is actually a lawyer working for the mafia. According to info from his online hacker friend, the $800,000 is likely mafia money placed under Mark's care. They are highly dangerous individuals dealing in arms trafficking, human trafficking, money laundering, torture, and worse. From his investigation, Call also finds out about a figure named Dog, Mark's personal bodyguard who is notoriously brutal and driven purely by money. Video files show Dog is highly skilled with firearms and has been tied to shooting incidents multiple times. In short, they are deadly people, and his friend advises Call to steer clear of them. Instead of backing down, Call takes the risk to meet Sarah face-to-face at her usual coffee spot. Once again, driven by infatuation, Call recklessly risks his life all for love. Aside from his underlying guilt, Call can't stand the thought of his crush dying a brutal death. He manages to get close to Sarah without blowing his cover and secures her phone number.
See you around, maybe.
Depends on how much you like Chinese.
Desperate to keep her alive, Call sets out to raise $800,000 within a single week. Utilizing his ATM skimming expertise, Call constructs a specialized hardware device that only needs to be attached to ATM machines. Every card passing through it gets logged, allowing their funds to be easily drained. Moving from machine to machine and shop to shop, Call scours the city. Even though the haul from a single account isn't massive, he remains highly optimistic that the cumulative total can hit $800,000 within the week.